What's going on, everybody? I'm JJ, and this is We Talk About It.
What's going on? What's going on, everybody? What's going on this Thursday, 8 o'clock? I'm sure you guys have seen the blogs post and all of the chatter behind whether or not a heterosexual male is either straight or bi when he deals with a trans woman identifying as a woman. Um, just want to get a idea of what you guys are all thinking out there because, like I said, uh, this is something that's a topic. Everybody's talking about it, and then some are saying that it's politically motivated. The Democrats are pushing this agenda, or either the Democrats are encouraging the behavior, and then you got the Republicans are not for it. But like I said, people are saying, okay, the Republicans are trying to tear down transgenders and trying to keep their rights but there still are allegedly participating in sexual acts with trans women themselves. And like I said, this is We Talk About It. Like I said, hosted by the one and only JJ, where we talk about all of it: live sports, games, anything you name it. If it's hot, we talking about it. So uh, we've gotten into this uh, culture where you know it's the pronouns are very uh you have to respect the pronouns. Years ago, uh you were either straight male or you was either gay, and then it kind of rolled into bi being that next level. But normally if you dealt with um a man, they looked at it was gay. Back in the day, a man could say, "Hey, I'm a woman." And he could identify as a woman back in the day, and he was considered a man because that's just what the society saw. Now, like I said, I want to hear y'all thoughts about this. This is a one that everybody's talking about. Like I said, um, and you guys have seen the Laverne Cox and T.S. Madison, whom are both transgender women identifying as women. Um, but the topic, I think T.S. Madison kicked it off with her viral interview with um, Nene Leakes, who was the one of the original cast of the Real Housewives of Atlanta, where she says uh, she doesn't date gay men, which is Nene Leakes, and T.S. Madison also allegedly, she says that she doesn't date gay men. So pretty much, she's basically saying that the men that are attracted to her are straight. And that's the question that I'm posing today. Is that man really straight? Is that heterosexual man identifying as a man straight if he's attracted to a trans gender woman? And like I said, some put politics in the mix, some put this in the mix. Have society really got this confusing, or is it confusing? You know, you know, uh, if he knows uh she's trans, then he's not straight. So pretty much, I talked with one of the subscribers uh on Twitter, or uh, formerly known as Twitter, but on X, and the conversation came out as far as do if a person is dating a trans woman and she identifies as a woman, but he is a heterosexual man, and if he finds out that he is a biological man, then if he continues to date her, he's gay. Now, that was her thoughts on that. And like I said, you know, if a transgender woman, and it posed a question to me, and I was curious. So, if a transgender woman has the SRS, the reassignment surgery, and has everything to do with a female, and a man, heterosexual man, is attracted to that trans woman, is he still considered gay? I want to know you guys' thoughts about this because, like I said, this is a tricky one. I've had like I said, subscriber say that if the if the if the heterosexual male, if he dates a man, it doesn't matter if he's transgender or if he's if he dates a man, no one gets a man, regardless if he's had the surgery. She says that she sees that as gay. Now, like I said, you got several different point of views. And like I said, this is not involving bringing in, the Bible or anything like that, but just has society got so confusing to where it's not black and white? Or is it black and white? And some people just can't understand or can't comprehend, you know, the relationships behind a transgender man that's attracted to a transgender, well, excuse me, a heterosexual male that's attracted to a transgender woman. Evidently he's attracted to females, and this is what I've heard from some transgender people that did chime in on this. And they were pretty much saying that if a man is attracted to that woman look, then naturally he's just attracted to a woman. And, you know, every woman is different. So if he finds a trans woman, she's different in her own, uniqueness and, uh, respectfully, she's different. She looks like a woman, but she may be different. You got different type of women out there. Some with short hair, long hair, high cheekbones, low cheekbones, thick, slim. You know, uh, you got all different varieties. So if that part of it, uh, if that reaches, you know, if that reaches to the if that gets the other person's attention, if he's attracted to a woman on the outside, does it make him gay if he knowingly dates a transgender woman? And like I said, T.S. Madison, Laverne Cox here discussed this topic on T.S. Madison's show, The Outlaws. And you know uh Laverne Cox basically she basically said a lot of things as far as you know basically the same thing. If a man is attracted to her, that doesn't make him gay, not necessarily. But like I said, that's where the society is now. you know are we all too woke? Is it considered wokeness? Is that considered wokeness where it's just like you have to be on pins and needles. You know, is are we doing this based on the inside, or are we doing it based on outside, the physical on a trans woman? You know, like I said, respectfully, if a trans woman presents herself as a woman, she identifies as a woman, and she has legal certification that she is a woman, and you got the straight women may say that she's still not a woman simply because she can't give birth, even if they go and have it. Now, naturally, what would we define as a woman? And so most people would say a woman has ovaries, they can give birth. That's a biological woman. And so now they may identify as a woman, but I guess the difference is they identify as a woman, but they aren't a biological woman. But like I said, that is a topic that I'm willing to get everybody's views on. And like I said, respectfully, let's have this conversation, this topic respectfully. Like I said, it's one that is tough. Like I said, a lot of people don't want to be called gay because they like a particular one, a particular, woman, and she just happened to be transgender. There's several other transgender women that look just like a woman, a biological woman. And like I said, some biological women take heat behind this because they can have periods, they can give birth. It's a lot of stuff that a biological woman goes through that a trans woman doesn't. But for them to be able to say I am a woman, some feels disrespected by that. And that's coming from that's a straight woman or a biological woman. And but so I won't get too far off topic, but if a person, like I said years ago, you were either gay or you were straight. If you dated a transgender and it wasn't a biological woman, most people saw you as gay, regardless of any of the identities, the pronouns that one had. They automatically put them in a pronoun of she or he. That was it. And like I said, is it complicated? That's my question. Did we get complicated did we allow a lot of distraction to come in? Is this a distraction? Transgenders have been out there, but normally in the 90s, if you were with a transgender, you were gay. If you found out that he had the same sexual organ that you had, if a woman had the same a biological woman, if both of you had the same sexual, it was simple. Now I'll say that it was simple. If a woman was with another woman, regardless of whether or not she had a baseball cap on backwards, whatever it was, you know, she was uh, 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 you know, she was gay, and then it went and it revolved into lesbian. Excuse me. Lesbian was for women, and gay was for men. But then you got all of that, and then it went to bi, and then all of a sudden you went to the pronouns, and then like I said, if you don't respect the pronouns, you got a problem. And some people will have on some men will be feminine and they may be gay and they may have on a whole beard, but they may not want to be called ma'am. They may still want to be called sir, respectfully. But that's why you got to be able to read the room. This is a big, world, and we all want to, everybody want to be respected. But is it respected whenever somebody is made uncomfortable? Is it respected? That's what we're getting into. Like I said, I got a little small clip right here from Outlaws that T.S. Madison and Laverne Cox, they had discussed her dating a um a heterosexual male presenting. So, like I said, he says that he's a heterosexual male. So let's take a look.
I'm a human being with flaws. The straight thing, I, for me, the way I feel about it is, I no one can tell me who the fuck I am. Correct. So, if a man says he's straight, that's what he is. That's what he is. And there is a difference between behavior and orientation. A dear friend of mine, may he rest in peace, Ari Gold. Proud Jewish gay man, and pops. I'm a human being with flaws. The straight thing, I, for me, the way I feel about it is, no one can tell me who the fuck I am. Correct. So, if a man says he's straight, that's what he is. That's what he is. And there is a difference between behavior
The audio there was giving us some difficult behavior, but he says there, if a man is identifying as straight, that is exactly what he is, even if he dating her. And so the thing is, that's the question where I'm trying to get at. So is a person, if even if a person identifies as straight, he's straight. So do we go off of that? So if a man is down low and he sleeps with men, that are presented as men, and this down low uh man identifies as straight, is he straight? And so if we're going off based on what people identify, we respectfully have to acknowledge him as straight, even if he's sleeping around with another man. And so that goes back to the point of, do we have a right? Are we in a position to say whether or not a person is straight or bi, even if their actions prove that they are straight or bi, or gay, or lesbian, or that's the tricky thing about it. And here's the thing: sometimes it's not tricky for some. Some people are like, "Hey, I don't want to go." And in which I talked with a guy uh, on X, and his comments was, he don't want to jump on the bandwagon of confusion. He says that, hey, it's confusing uh, to be able to say, hey, if he identifies as a man, then he's a straight man, and he's sleeping with men and women. That, by definition, is bi. But if he identifies as a man, we respectfully have to excuse me, if he identifies as a straight man, we respectfully have to respect him and say, hey, he is a straight man. Now, that's the same thing, I guess, that Laverne Cox is doing. If a guy is a heterosexual and he identifies as straight and he sleeps with her, knowing that she is a trans woman, a male, and she also mentioned that she doesn't tell, what he has done. So we don't know if she's had the sexual reassignment surgery. We don't know. Maybe somebody in the comments may know if she got it. She may be proud like T.S. Madison tell you. She walking around with a third leg. But like I said, what are y'all thoughts on this? They had they talked on the Outlaws about this for a good little minute. If some hadn't watched it, it's a good clip. I'm sorry that the audio here was glitching. I hate that it was doing that, but uh, the kicker thing is just knowing that what's going on. You know, we're learning, we're knowing and understanding that that's exactly what that's exactly what some people want. Some people want confusion, some people don't. And like I said, is it confusion? Is it naturally confusion? That's what I want a lot of people to understand. Is this a point of, do we go off of what they're talking about? Do we do we stand behind going down that road? Meaning, okay, I'm going to go with this. If he identifies as straight and he's sleeping with a trans woman, then he's straight. And I'm asking the biological women out there, will you date a man who is actively sleeping between you, a biological woman, and a trans woman identifying as a woman? Will you still date a man like that? And I'm asking the guys out there, if you're a heterosexual male and you sleep with a transgender woman, are you considered still a heterosexual man? What are your thoughts on that? And like I said, I'm curious to know, what are your thoughts on it? Because the fact of the matter is, we're in this day and time where confusion is heavy. And like I said, sometimes we get off subject. Sometimes we get confused and we don't know. But they know, the transgender community know. And like I said, they are part of the LGBTQ plus community. And if a person is a part of that, the straight people are not a part of that. Heterosexual male, and straight biological women aren't in that category. But if there's Pride Month, I've had one subscriber said, if they're Pride Month, if anybody attends Pride Month, then that makes them, gay or bi. So if a transgender woman is attending Pride Month, you know, is that considered that, like? And then the response to that comment was, heterosexual males go to support Pride Month. I've seen heterosexual men and I've seen women as well that go and support Pride Month. And so, if that is the case, then that comment could be ignorant. You got people like that makes ignorant comments and statements. But like I said, in the comment section, let me know what you guys think. Do you think this is politically motivated? Do you think it's a democratic thing? Most of the time, I've seen a few comments where people say it's democratically motivated. Democrats want to start confusion. Democrats want to be able to do this, and then I've seen it where the Republican Party is wanting to do this as far as remove the rights from the transgenders. You know, I've seen it split like that, to where it's like racism, black or white. So is it a Democrat and Republican thing? Is that's what motivating and steering the confusion within the LGBTQ plus community? Is that what's going on? Because it's a conversation. Is it heterosexual males that are getting caught, are in relationships with transgender women, and are there backlashes? What's the thing out there? Like I said, the comments that Laverne Cox made, if he knows she's trans, he's not straight. That was one of the comments that people, a lot of people say. He's not straight if he knows she's trans. And a high percentage of Americans do think that way. But there's another high percentage that says no. If he knows she's trans and he's just attracted to the femininity of a woman. She looks like a woman. She presents herself as a woman. Therefore, she is a woman. You know, is that true? What are you guys' thoughts on that? Like I said, that's where the confusion comes in. Do we really, is it really this confusing? Or is it just a lot of people don't want to understand? Or is it that a lot of people don't want to move on? Or is it something that we need to move on? And that's one of the things that I'm curious about. Is it something that we can learn to adapt to? Like I said, you get a lot of people that don't want to use pronouns. They don't want to say them and they. When a person identifies as both a male and a female, it gets like that. Now, is that confusing? To some, yes. But to others, like I said, I've heard, I've read one comment where they said, well, it's a mental thing. It's a mental because it's really just that simple. If a male is with another male, he's gay. If a woman is with another woman, she's a lesbian. If a man and a woman is together, he's straight. And that's as simple as they put it. Now, is it that simple? Do is it is it by how somebody identifies who they're attracted to, or just the sexual behavior that they knowingly choose? That's my question for tonight. Can you really call yourself 100% straight if you knowingly desire a male's anatomy, even when it belongs to a trans woman? All right, guys, that's my time. I'm leaving you with that. And like I said, for more, please like, subscribe, comments. I really would like to hear you guys' comments. And have a great night. Like I said, this is We Talk About It, hosted by the one and only JJ. We talk about it all: life, love, and sports, and all. Have a good night.